So I had a case that was absolutely crazy, and it ends up with me getting sued. My client's name was Whitney. Real name. You can Google me and Whitney and you can read more about this. Whitney was a real estate photographer. He would take photos of houses when they were getting ready to be sold. Whitney was hired to go to a house and take photos at, let's say, 9 o'clock on a Friday morning. And the way that lockboxes nowadays work is they have a CBS code, which is a digital code that you type in. Your code works for whatever time it's set for. The people who hired him said, hey, here's your lockbox code, see you at 9 o'clock. And from the instructions that they gave him and the instructions that they didn't give him, it seemed very obvious that no one would be at the house. They just gave him the lockbox code, as opposed to other houses where they say, homeowner will be home, call homeowner, ring bell. So 9 o'clock on Friday, he goes to the house and actually gets there a little bit early. So he decides, well, I'll do the outside pictures. So he walks around the house taking all these photos of the outside. At 9:02, he uses his code in the lockbox, gets the key, knocks on the door, no answer, puts the key in, opens up the door, and the alarm starts going off. And Whitney thinks to himself, this is the Friday I'm gonna have. I get to somebody's house and they forgot to turn off their alarm. So he walks over to the lockbox that he had left outside, looks inside to see if there's a piece of paper. He said a lot of times people would leave a code in the lockbox for how to turn off their alarm, but no code there. So he steps inside of the house and he essentially says, this is Whitney, your photographer. This is Whitney, your photographer. He waits and he doesn't hear anything. Now at this point, the alarm's going from the pretty tolerable beep, 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 to that like terrible siren that you just want to pull your ears out. Woo, 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 woo. Amateur recreation.
Thanks. I like to play.
So Whitney sees the keypad and he decides he's gonna walk over to the keypad, flip up the cover, and maybe the code's there. If not, he'll just go back outside, call the real estate agent, and figure out what's going on. Unbeknownst to him, the homeowner has been in the house the entire time. She was in bed. I believe she was playing Candy Crush. And when the alarm goes off, she thought something pretty interesting, at least to me, because her husband and her son set off the alarm all the time. And all those other times she shrugged and said, must be my husband, must be my son. This time, for whatever reason, maybe she was having a bad game of Candy Crush, she decided immediately that this wasn't her husband and son. This must be a criminal that's there to kill her. So she leaves the phone in the bed, she runs into her closet, she grabs her, she goes to where the bullets are, she loads she starts creeping out down the long hallway towards the kitchen. And then she sees Whitney. So Whitney's back is to the wife. She decides she's going to shoot him. She misses with her first shot and she hits him with the second shot. When Whitney gets hit, he turns around and he sees a woman holding a gun. He puts his hand up and goes, I'm your photographer, I'm your photographer. She holds him at gunpoint and takes him outside of her house and makes him sit on her porch as she continues to point her gun at him. The entire time, Whitney is saying to her, I'm really sorry about the blood. I don't want to mess up your photos. Can I clean up the blood?
Just counting down one.
I thought they broke into my house.
You shot him?
Yes, sir. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Now, I haven't mentioned one really important player in this story, and that's the real estate company. The real estate company told the homeowner, hey, look, we need to have photos of your house taken. And the homeowner said, oh, well, I stay at home. Please let me know when the photographer is going to come. In fact, when they were talking about staging the house for furniture, the homeowner got really mad at the real estate company and said, look, you didn't tell me the stagers were coming. I was surprised. I didn't like that. You need to tell me when people come to my house. Seems like a fair request. But the real estate company did not tell the homeowner that Whitney was going to come that morning and take photos. So we have a case against the homeowner and against the real estate company.
The company and the homeowner now being sued.
Whitney's life was put in danger because a real estate agent didn't pick up a phone and because a homeowner didn't see who she was shooting at.
Against the homeowner, we said, look, you shouldn't have shot this poor guy who was just doing his job. You had a lockbox on your house. You knew people were coming and going even though you didn't want them to. You knew the real estate company wasn't actually telling you when people were coming or not, and you should have done something before shooting him. I mean, you walked past your front door to get closer to him to shoot him, and when you did it, you were standing next to his camera tripod. You could look at your front door and see that the lockbox was open and used, and that a key was in your front lock. Do I feel for that woman? Yeah, she was put in a terrible position that shouldn't have happened. Do I personally think that she shouldn't have shot him? Yes, I do not believe she should have shot him. Do I see the arguments, though, that she didn't do anything wrong? 100%. But when you have reasonable grounds to sue someone and reasonable people could decide that that person is at least partly responsible, they become a defendant in a lawsuit. That's my responsibility to my client. I feel for the woman, but she got very good defense counsel, as she should have. She didn't pay for that lawyer either. Her homeowner's insurance did, which is how the system is supposed to work. And essentially my sole obligation is to my client, and there's a very reasonable path to find that she's responsible, at least in part. Then you have the real estate company. Are they responsible? I think so. They caused this situation. They told Whitney, go to this house. Here's the code. Go inside this time. Take those pictures. And they didn't tell the homeowner. That's dangerous to him. That's dangerous to her. And they broke their promise to the homeowner. They promised, we'll tell you when someone comes to your house, and they didn't do that. So this case was one of my longest cases because there were not one, but 2 appeals that I won both of them because I got rulings in the trial court that didn't go my way, and I didn't think those rulings were right. They hurt Whitney. We went to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals said, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. Whitney was right. And then it happened again. And the appeals court said, once again, Whitney was right. That shouldn't have happened. So at some point during this, we settled with the insurance company for the woman who shot Whitney. I wouldn't call it an easy settlement. We did a lot of work. We then said to the insurance company, here's what we think is fair. And they said yes. The case was over against her. So then we continued going against the real estate company. And the real estate company had some good lawyers. And those lawyers convinced the trial court judge to make some rulings that weren't the best. They hurt Whitney, and I think they were unfair and they didn't follow the law. So 2 times we had to appeal rulings, and an appeals court had to decide whether what the judge did was right or wrong. And I don't mean morally right or wrong, I just mean did they follow the law and apply it correctly or not. Both times the Court of Appeals found in our favor, said no, the judge shouldn't have done that, and let's move forward. So as we were approaching trial and we were ready to go, the real estate company said, you know what, we offer you $1 million. Whitney said, look, that's life-changing money for me. I've already paid all my medical bills. I did that out of the first settlement with the homeowner. I need this money. I think it's fair. I said to him, look, I think your case has a lot of challenges. You might get more, you might get less, but I think it's difficult to turn down $1 million. If you want to do that, I'm with you. We'll go try the case. But he said, look, I want to accept $1 million. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And I thought the case was over until I got sued. The owner of the real estate company sued me for what's known as abusive litigation. The owner of the real estate company that paid $1 million to my client sued me for saying that I filed a lawsuit that had no factual or legal support. That was frivolous, essentially. The lawsuit that they paid my client $1 million. So this was my first and I believe only time ever being sued. I then got to be a defendant. So I reported the claim to my insurance company. My insurance company hired me a lawyer. That lawyer is one of the best here in town and she did a phenomenal job. And relatively quickly, before I was deposed, which I was a little disappointed by, I wanted to be deposed. I wanted to have one of those videos of me, with the 2nd grade picture day background behind me because I would make so many videos about that, and I think all of you would enjoy it. I was not deposed. There was no exchange of discovery. They just dismissed the case. Problem solved.
So it is officially over. You can make videos.
I just don't know if she can sue. I think she could sue me again, but I'm not sure.